Hello, my friends. Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 6 year-round decor DIYs that have the rustic, vintage, cottage, and farmhouse style. Let's get started. For our first DIY, I got these 2 ceramic angels from the dollar store, and I also got these 2 clear candle holders. And I got my E6000 glue, and I'm going to add some on the top of the candle holder. Then I'm going to place the bottom of these angels on the top. I'm trying to make it centered as much as I can. And I did the exact same steps on the other one. And then I'm going to leave them to dry. Then I got the sea spray, which is an additive that you can add to your paint to get the beautiful texture. Paint, I got mine from Dixie-Belle. And I'm going to add some to my buttercream chalk paint. You can add as much as you want. I like to add a little bit more before I mix it because I want this texture to be a little thick. I mixed it very well, and then I'm going to start painting my teardrops. I'm going to do a tapping technique to create that texture, like a rich texture. I give them 2 coats each and left them to dry, and once they were dry, I got my glaze, I got the brown glaze, and I'm going to cover the first side gently. Once I covered this, I got a paper towel. I'm going to remove any excess. Always do little parts so that you have the time to wipe them and get the color that you want. I did the same thing on the back for the 2 angels. I left some spots with heavy glaze, and the other spots I wiped it off completely. I want to create this distressed look. Look at this texture. I'm so in love with how they turned out. And it only costs $2.50 each to get this high-end look. You can use them as is or just like I did here, and I used them as candle holders. All you have to do is glue your thumbtacks, flathead push pins with the E6000 glue, and then stick the candles to them. And you get these beautiful candle holders. For our next DIY, I got this wooden coaster, and I'm gonna cover it in buttercream color. Once I finish this side, I got 1/2-inch painter's tape, and I'm gonna divide the coaster in 2 parts. For the first one, I'm gonna use my favorite diamond stencil. I got the gold paint, and I'm gonna start stenciling this part with the diamond stencil. This is one of my favorite stencils. I use it a lot. Once I was done with this part, I got some clear coat, and then I covered the other half. I also covered the edges, the barkwood on the sides with my little brush, and I made sure I got it into all the crevices in there, just like that. And then I'm gonna add the gold leaf. I tapped it nice and gentle, and I covered the sides as well. Now it's time to leave it to dry. While I left the first one to dry, I made another one to create a set. But for this one, I'm not going to add gold leaf. I'm going to do this one all with the diamond stencil and gold paint. Even on the sides too, I'm not going to add gold leaf, but I'm going to paint them in gold. And now with a soft, dry brush, I'm going to brush all the excess gold leaf once it's dry. And now we have this beautiful gold diamond-shaped coasters that I am so in love with. For our next project, I got this pink frame from a thrift store. It only had some scratches on one side, but other than that, it looked awesome. I'm gonna mix some sea spray with gray paint. And I added a lot of sea spray this time. I want to create a very thick texture. I started with the foam brush by covering all the frame, then again did the tapping technique to make sure I get into all the frame details and also create that texture with all the additive particles on the top. I kept on tapping to create texture until I got the amount I want on each spot. And this is when it was dry. Look at this texture. I love it. Now I got the gray wax, and with my brush, I'm gonna go over all the frame to cover it up. And also I'm gonna tap in to the edges where we have these details to get the wax inside all the spots. And since this is a water-based wax, I can always spray and remove any excess, play with the color to get it lighter or darker as much as I want. So I finished the first spot. I like to go into parts so that I don't leave the wax a lot in one spot and it dries out. You would have a darker spot and a lighter spot. So I like to add it in parts. And here, once I was done, I sprayed water, and then with the rag, I went over it until I got the color that I want. And here is it after it was all done. Now that we have the frame ready, I printed out Let's Stay Home paper on my regular printer. Nothing special, and I'm gonna add it inside the frame. And our textured frame turned out absolutely stunning. Now for our next DIY, I got more of these round coasters. I usually get these from Amazon, 15 coasters a pack, and the coaster round from $1 to $1.25. And I'm gonna cover this one in my favorite color, buttercream. And I wanna cover only the middle of this one to keep the bark edges visible. I don't wanna paint these. I want them brown as they are. And I had these leftover transfers that I got from Dixie Belle with the green leaves, and I cut them to the size of the coaster. And I went over them. All you have to do is like scrub it on the top until it's all stuck in place, and then you remove that transparent sheet. That's it. So easy. And I love these colors together. The whites, the greens, the brown wood. Kind of gives you that farmhouse cottage kind of style. I did the same thing on the other coaster. For this one, I cut another leaf and another little piece of the transfer, and I kept adding and rearranging them where I want them. And then I cut that stencil on my silhouette, Hello Coffee, and I'm gonna put them on the coaster using transfer tape. I tried to fit it in, but I found it easier to cut the words each alone so that I can place them where I want. So I'm gonna put hello a little to the left and then coffee in the middle. Once I put on my stencil, I took off the transfer tape, and I'm gonna stencil this in black. And a little tip here, don't load your brush with a lot of paint so it won't bleed under the stencil. Just a little bit and go slow. You don't need much paint for that, little is more. Once I was done stenciling the words, I left it to dry and took off the stencil. And look at those coasters. I just love them. Easy to make, looks beautiful, and on a budget. For this DIY, I got this blank wooden sign from the thrift store. It has bark edges on the top and it's blank on the middle, as you see, and we're gonna stain it in brown. I got this brown gel stain from Dixie Belle, and I'm gonna stain the top in that beautiful brown using a paper towel. And here, once it was dry, I printed a stencil on my silhouette, The Best Journey Takes You Home, and I'm gonna transfer that onto the wooden sign with the transfer tape. Kind of pushed it really nice and scrubbed it down on the wood, and I stenciled that in white. And again, remember not to put much paint on your brush so it won't bleed. I took off the stencil and I got these metal hooks, and I'm gonna screw them. You can actually hand screw them, they are so easy, and I'm gonna push them on the top on both sides of the sign. Now I got the twine, and I'm gonna make a hanger for our beautiful sign. I'm gonna pass the twine through the hooks and made a little knot on both sides. Then I'm gonna cut off any excess twine. Once that was done, I got 3 more of these hooks, and I'm gonna add 3 on the bottom. First, I was gonna use this as a sign, but then last minute I decided why not make it into a key holder. So that's why we're gonna add the 3 hooks on the bottom. Then I got the burlap ribbon, and then we're gonna cut the edges into a fishtail and create a little cute bow that we're gonna add on each side of the sign. I tied the bow with the twine from the middle, and I made another one for the other side, and with the hot glue gun I glued them on each side. And this is how our keychain holder looks. I love how it turned out. For this DIY, I got this glass dish from the dollar store. And I got my brush and the heavy gel, and I'm gonna add a thin layer on the sides of the glass dish. I kept spreading it with my brush, and I got this beautiful rose gold leaf, and I'm gonna cover all the sides. I don't wanna cover everything, so I kinda played with the gold leaf on the spots that I want covered, and I left some of the spots like cracks to create a distressed look with the gold leaf. I kept adding more and covering all the sides, and then I left it to dry. Once it was dry, I got my soft, dry brush, and I'm gonna brush off any excess. Look how beautiful this looks. I added a little candle in the middle, and I'm gonna use it as a candle holder. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what was your favorite projects in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.